back.
That's right, boys and girls. We are live. It's Rovers Rant. One of these days we'll have a show with no technical snafus. But we are back. And we're back to talk about Blackburn Rovers. Whatever you want to talk about, we're going to be talking about it in just a second. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you smash like wherever you are in the world. It is not my show. It's your show. It's the Rovers Rant. Of course, there should be links all over the place. There's one up there. There's one down there in the chat, wherever you are. We're going to talk about Blackburn Rovers. Been a busy day today. We've got, looks like a player coming in, looks like a player going out, looks like a big game to come tomorrow, and yeah, just lots to talk about. And I've got man standing by. Hopefully he can hear me. Jacob, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me, Dirk?
I believe so. Hopefully, the guys in the chat can let us know that they can hear you. So, yes, what do you want to talk about? You want to talk about Lewis Travis? You want to talk about the crowd bonanza business? Do you want to talk about the new signing? Do you want to talk about Hull City? What do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about it all, Dirk. That's what I'm
Yeah,
here for.
that's
Why
good.
not?
Yeah, we'll have a little chit chat. So let's talk about Lewis Travis because it looks like he's going to join his best mate, and that is John Eustace, to become the latest member of the Blackburn Rovers B team. That is Derby County. Thoughts on that one? What's your take on all of that?
Well, I just first, I did see a post after Saturday's game. So I saw someone post if John Eustace wanted Ramsbottom, he should have stayed at Blackburn. It's only 20 minutes down the road to get to Ramsbottom.
Indeed,
So I
yeah.
found that quite funny. But yeah, Lewis Travis,
Oh.
go on, Dirk. Sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, he's after everything that's not bolted down at Blackburn Rovers. So, I don't know what's next. Probably Yuki Ohashi. I know they're after a winger as well. Maybe they could take Ryan Hedges.
Oh, if John Eustace wants Ryan Hedges, I'll drive him down there myself, Dirk, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so
But to be fair, he did have a decent game, Hedges, on Saturday. But yeah, I mean, obviously with Travis, it's a bit of a kick in the balls, and we kind of talked about this last week. We knew he wasn't really going to be playing on the Saturday. Obviously, he didn't even get in the squad, so it seems like we're not even going to get to say goodbye to him, which is a shame. But I mean, I think Val has kind of put the club in a weird position with making the comments that obviously made it, apparent that Travis wanted to go. He's asked to go and speak to Derby and whatnot. Um, and it has kind of put us in a weak selling position where he's only got a year left, and we've now got the choice of we either keep him around and he's not going to kick a ball, or we're going to have to sell him, and Derby know that, so we're probably not going to get as much money as we should have.
yeah, it was banded around that we wanted more than their first bid, and then now there's been some contrasting sort of stuff coming out with 1.2 million, with the potential to rise to 3 million. So I don't know if
Yeah.
we won that deal or we kind of got our pants pulled down. We'll have to see, I guess.
I mean, with a year left, he's not the youngest, but he's definitely up there in terms of midfielders in this league, holding fielders, I would say. Obviously going forwards in terms of his scoring ability and passing ability, there's not a lot to be admired there. But in terms of being a real solid defensive midfielder who's the best in the championship, definitely for winding the opposition players up and getting in their head and being a shithouse. He's definitely the best at that side of things. We talked about this last week, like I said, and it does seem like obviously Eustace formed a good relationship with Trav. He was the one who, as soon as Eustace come in, he rang Trav up. I want you back. I want you in my team next season. Obviously put the arm round him. Obviously he wasn't playing where he wanted to. Trav under JDT, frustrated, goes out on loan. Obviously comes back, gets the captain's armband back from Hyam. And Eustace clearly put a lot of trust in him, and I think Eustace kind of saw a lot of Trav in himself as when he was a player. When I went to the Q&A, he said as much. So it's no surprise this, and it's no surprise Trav wants to go back to Eustace. He's other than Mowbray, he's probably the manager who's treating the best. And yeah, I mean, obviously, Derby are in a position right now where they're bottom of the league, but in terms of their ambition with, the players they're signing and the money they're spending, it's a hell of a lot more ambition than we're showing.
Yeah, it's a bit of an underwhelming transfer window for us, considering we've sold players for money and we're bringing in, questionable players who have yet to really deliver on the grand stage. But we did bring our player in today, Baraji. I know we don't really know too much about him, but if you read between the lines and you see that some clubs, higher clubs, Celtic, Sunderland, were all linked with him, they didn't go for it because
Galatasaray.
Galatasaray. They didn't pluck for him because maybe of this injury. Maybe we are going to we've approached it a different way. We're bringing him in on loan, and then with the option to bring him in on a permanent at the end of it. So it might work out in the end, but it is a gamble. Bringing him in an unknown entity, but definitely a different kind of player.
It's a weird one, isn't it? Because it's a pay to play deal as well that I saw due to this injury. So. I said to a friend of mine, I said, can you even remember the last time we did a pay to play? I don't even think we did that with the likes of a Jack Rodwell. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a real strange one. We need to hope that obviously he comes in at some point, and is firing on all cylinders, because I tell you what, Sydney Tavares cost us that game on Saturday with a corner that didn't even beat the first man. And as well as that, just poor game management from Rovers, not leaving a single man back. And obviously they go down the other end and score. But it's embarrassing when you've got a player on the field who tells Ribeiro to get off the corner, to take a corner, and it doesn't even hit the first man. But in terms of the player, it, like you said, it's a gamble. It's a good sign, I suppose, that big clubs have been interested in this fella, and we've managed to pick him up. But the only reason we have got him, let's be honest, is because he's injured. If he was fully fit, he wouldn't have come to us. So yeah, I mean, is it a true bit of business from Rovers? Apparently his contract's up next summer, so we get him on loan now on the pay to play, and then we'd be able to pick him up for a free in the summer. It could be a good bit of business. Obviously, we've got no obligation to take him, so we just have to hope that some of these players do the business for us. Like I said, I like the right back who went off, Albiasu. It's good to see that he's not going to be out for a long time, because obviously it was worrying him going off in the stretcher, definitely. But someone mentioned in one of the chats I'm in, it's another 300 appearances we've lost right there with Trav. 300 championship appearances. Vyman, Danny Bath, Dolan, Britton. That's so many championship appearances we've lost from this team in a summer, and we're only replacing them with foreign players other than McLaughlin, players that need time to fit into this league usually. Like I said, I think Albiasu's done all right when he's come in. I think Miller's looking decent and looking like he's hit the ground running. But someone like a Sydney Tavares, for example, is it going to take him a bit longer to fit into this team? It's looking that way.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm at a point of writing the season off already. It's only 2 games in, but writing the season off because I think it's just going to be such a transition for all these new faces. But I'm hoping that we can at least get enough together, or at least some sort of rhythm together early doors to just get some points on the board and get some confidence going, and maybe start to climb the table a little bit. But ultimately, I think this is going to be not the best of seasons. And honestly, if we look back over the last 4 or 5 years, it's always come down to something. We've either been up there knocking very, very close, or been down there very, very close to the drop. So hopefully this might be a bit of a boring, typically you would say like a Millwall season, or even a Bristol City season usually, where they're just like 12th or 14th or something, and we're just nothing. QPR kind of season.
Yeah, we've never really had one of those seasons, have we?
No, I just think
since we've been relegated from the Prem, it's either been, like you said, rather in the relegation fight, or we're pushing for playoffs. We've never just had a bog standard mid-table season. That I can think of the season where we finished 15th during COVID, but we were up on the playoffs for a lot of time, and then we just went through that terrible run of form, and it looked like we were going to get relegated at one point. So it wasn't really a kind of a boring mid-table season. But I am slightly worried that obviously the past few years, typically we've started really, really well, got ourselves into a position come, November, December where we're in the playoffs or we're flirting with the playoffs. And then obviously we have our typical winter slump. But, if that winter slump comes and we're still, not really in a good position, then it could be really worrying come February where Rovers are, we could be right down there if we don't pull our socks up, I mean, again, is this an overreaction? I don't know. Obviously, we've gone to West Brom away. Not
Tricky.
many teams will get anything from West Brom away this season, and Birmingham, who I think a lot of people would say are going to finish in the top six, have come to Ewood, and we should have been good for a draw, but we've just absolutely tucked it away due to poor game management at the end there. It's not been great, but can we go beat Hull tomorrow and, all is forgiven to some extent?
Yeah. I think if we win tomorrow, it'll be a massive relief all round, and then we'll have confidence going into Norwich to maybe get something from there. And then, you know what, at the end of it, 4 points or more out of the first 4 games wouldn't be that bad considering the opposition, because it is quite a sticky start for us to teams that are going to be playoff contenders in West Brom, Birmingham, Hull City. Don't know what they're all about. Norwich also going to be up there with the players they have, and Liam Manning, of course. So it is a rough old start for the first 4 games, and afterwards it does get a little easier. I say easier. We have Watford. We have who else in there? Swansea in there. So definitely more attainable matches, I would say. But yeah, I kind of got caught up in the hype over the summer, and I thought we'd getting some. We'd had some points already, but right now it's been very, very.
Well, I think we all did, Dirk. The way we ended last season it was a law, obviously not making the playoffs, but there was a lot of kind of positives to take from those last 6 games, weren't it, or so, where we'd won 5 in a row and drew at Bramall Lane. There were kind of a good feeling around the club, and obviously it's all that kind of good feeling and goodwill has just kind of gone out the window. This is probably one of the worst windows we've had, really, in terms of players just losing so many senior pros at once. I don't really quite remember a summer like it, other than my mind goes back to maybe when Owen Coyle came in and we lost, the likes of Grant Hanley and Shane Duffy, I think, that window. We lost Jordan Rhodes in the January before that. We lost Ben Marshall in the following January, and we just lost so many senior pros. We all know how that ended, so let's just hope it doesn't end that way this time.
Yeah, you're right. When you look back at the amount of players going out, there was all the talk and the words from the higher ups say, "Oh, it's going to be exciting." But when you look back, we have lost a lot of core players, a lot of experience, and we didn't really keep any of them. To be honest with you, all the contract expired. We didn't bring any of them back. Not bar Forshaw, even though he left and then he came back. It's just a flavor. I've got a question in the chat here for you. This Michael, I think, is your biggest fan. So should Cargbo, he's asking you, should we play Cargbo in the Salah role, the Mo Salah role on the right? Maybe the right come in.
I mean,
didn't he do that last time, or was he kind of like a free spirit last time? He was all over the place.
Well, I think he came on left wing, if I remember right, in the last game, and then I think when we went 1-0 up, we brought Miller on and kind of went to a back 5, and then Albiasu got directed off, so Wharton came on. It was just all kind of a mess at the end, but I think Cargbo ended up going into kind of a 2 up front, or maybe it was like 2 behind Maxtar or something like that. Yeah, it was strange. But when we had the 4 at the back, I'm pretty sure Cargbo came on the left side. From what I've seen, I think Cargbo's brilliant at being an absolute pain in the ass for defenders. Like in the 2 league games, he's already got, I think 3 players booked because they just can't handle his pace. Like he'll just knock the ball, and he's on his motorbike, and the players just have to bring him down. He's brilliant at that, but it seems to me his end product is kind of lacking, unfortunately.
Yeah.
On that left side, he keeps putting crosses in, and they're just not meeting their target. So, do you maybe put him on the right and let him have the chance to cut in and whatnot? I wouldn't be opposed to that. Maybe giving it a chance. I'd rather see him starting there over a Ryan Edges, who's currently the only right winger we've got. So I'd sooner see Deneve starting on the left and Cargo on the right, definitely. Like I said, Ryan had a good game on Saturday. I can't bash Ryan Edges this time, unfortunately. But do I want to see Cargo starting over Ryan Edges? Yes, I do. So Deneve or Hashian, Cargo up front. I think that's a decent front three.
Yeah, it is, and hopefully, I think there was words of saying of acknowledgement that we're getting closer to another right winger, but still on the wiser. There's another question again, from
Well,
Michael.
I think that
Sorry.
I think that's why we've sent. Sorry, Dirk. I think that's why we've sent that. We've got rid of that Mafube or whatever his name is, the one who we all got a bit excited about, thinking he was going to be the next world beater. I think we've freed up one of those international spots, haven't we?
Well, I think
And
this new guy Baraji's taken over that international spot, so that he's taken that out. So the right winger will be a non-foreigner or not a player that doesn't require like a special thing. So the Baraji guy coming in, he has taken that slot, I believe. Anyway, that's my understanding. That's my understanding. And then so that rules out this Japanese fella who was linked who used to play for Birmingham. So it could be now. There's an English guy playing in the Bundesliga, I think. Can't remember his name. He used to play for Bolton. He's the latest name that's commonly murmured around, but again, other bigger names like Leicester are after him as well, and some other clubs. So I don't know if we're going to have that kind of clout. But another question has been proposed: how many more players would you like to see? That's from Ben Smith. He's put that question in for you. How, like, if you had the chat, like, a lot of people saying we need a striker, we definitely need a right winger. Any more than what what else do you think?
I think I'd be happy with that, as long as they're of a good quality. I think that's where we need to be focusing. I think you look at the keepers. Obviously, if Pears leaves, then I do think we need a backup keeper. I don't think that kid, after what we saw in that League Cup game, I don't think he's ready. I'd be very worried if Toff got injured and he was thrown in the deep end. But right backs, we've got Miller and Albiasi. I'm happy with both of them. Centre halves, we've got Carter, Hyam, McLaughlin, Wharton. Miller can even come in there if needed. Left back, Ribeiro, Pickering. Happy with that. Your midfield, obviously, we're going to be losing Travis. So you got Sonny, two new guys, Tavares and
Henriksen.
What's his name again, Dirk? You have to remind me.
Axeman. Well, Axel, and then there's Baraji. Baraji's the new one.
Baraji. Yeah, Baraji. Buckley, is he going to go? If Buckley goes, then obviously, again, I want a replacement. We've still got the likes of Jake Garrett on the books, I think. I don't think he's gone out on loan just yet.
Have you heard the rumour about Buckley, where he's going?
Sorry?
Have you heard the rumour where Buckley's going?
If
you haven't,
I haven't actually.
What? What do you say?
I haven't actually, but I'm going to guess Charlton.
No, you're going to piss yourself.
Derby.
No, Saudi Arabia.
Oh yes, I did see this. Yes. Yes, I did see it. Where the hell has that come from?
I don't know. I've not seen anything, but that's what the murmur is right now. So yeah, he could be off to make a pretty penny out there and play with Ronaldo or something. I don't know what league or what division, whatever. But that happens. Kudos for him. Whoever his agent is, he deserves a pay rise. He'll get a pay rise, especially for that. But that,
he'll definitely get a pay rise.
But actually,
that'd be surreal.
I did read that it's the right winger and a centre back is what Big Val's saying. He's not mentioned anything about striker, so he's possibly looking at another centre back. So I don't know if that means if that's code for Dom Hyam leaving, or is that on top of Donheim? So I don't, it could be another one of them situations where I look at Charlie, can't believe it. Can't believe it. Buckley to South. That's what I'm reading. That's what I'm hearing from the forums and some other little murmurs. It's out there. So it's not from me. I didn't make it up, but somebody must have made it up. But it's out there. It's out there in the old ether.
If I was to guess, Dirk, I think it would be on top of Hyam, because I'm thinking off the top of my head. Obviously, we've lost Bath, we've lost Dion. We haven't we've brought McLaughlin in, who kind of covers one of those. Miller, as I said, can play there, but to me, he is the Joe Rankin Costello replacement. Albiasu's the Britain replacement.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to think it'd be on top of Hyam, but we'll see. But personally, I do think we need a striker. I think last season it cost us in the end, really. Obviously Yuki wasn't fit the entire season. If he had been, he'd obviously got some more goals, you'd like to think. But we're looking lacking up front in a lot of these games. Obviously the two games we played, we had one shot on target at West Brom, and other than the goal which we scored, we didn't really do too much more than that at home, which is kind of worrying. Todd Cantwell scores, but he only scored one goal in open play last season. So is he going to score in open play again this season? I guess we'll see. But it's I think we're lacking that bite up front. It's I wouldn't mind. I've heard a few things, but apparently Harry Leonard's kind of fell out with Gestead, and maybe some of the management, which is why maybe he's kind of being excluded a little bit.
Yeah, so
he's
I did. There was a little one of the old supposed Leno accounts said something along the lines. Didn't put a name to it, but there was assumption. I thought it was Pears had fallen out, but I misread it wrong. So it was a young player, and apparently hasn't got squad number now or something. I don't know. So. And that was my thing. I was going to bring him in. I was going to talk about Leonard. I was going to talk about, is there hope that he could fill the goal scoring boots? But you might have already squashed that attempt there. Question for Jacob. Again, it's all about you. It's Michael. Are the fans around Blackburn as toxic as they seem on social media? When you go to the games, is it? I know it's kind of a allures to your video that's kind of got picked up a bit of steam of late. Is it as bad as it's been made out on social media, or can you go there? If I was there with a couple of young 5-year-olds or whatever, is it a good, safe place to go, or what? Tell the people that can't make it, such as me, regularly.
Yeah, I guess we can kind of transition into the video and whatnot. But in terms of my personal opinion, I think Blackburn Rovers has only been, in my eyes, very toxic atmosphere a few times. And so, for example, on Saturday, yes, despite the chance, I wouldn't say that it was a toxic atmosphere. My mind goes back to games such as Fulham when we got beat 7-0. That was an extremely toxic atmosphere.
Who was in charge? That was a Mowbray one, right?
Mowbray, yeah. So the more there, and the fans were going, "Oh, let's pretend we scored a goal," and just taking the piss and just shouting abuse the entire game at Mowbray for obvious reasons. It was our heaviest ever home defeat. Last season, the Sheffield Wednesday game, or was it the Watford game? Maybe at home. It was one of those games around where we'd gone on that really bad run of form under Val. And yeah, the wag it out chance, and there were a massive police presence for that game. It felt like a derby day. I can't remember which game it was. I think it might have been Watford or something. We went down 2-0 really early, I think, and it just flipped. We conceded 2 really early goals, and the atmosphere was bad that night, that day. I think it was a Saturday. Really bad. And yeah, all the stewards were out and whatnot. But in general, if you're asking me, you know, there's a family stand and whatnot. But I'm in the Blackburn end. I don't think it's a toxic atmosphere in there. Yes, you've obviously got your people who will chant for Pasha out and whatnot, and it does seem like at the minute it's kind of obviously starting to get that way again, which it just kind of does with the results. You know, as soon as the results don't go our way, as Johnson's kind of mentioned on pods, the fans will turn because they want to blame someone. And I get it because, you know, when things are going your way, you don't want to obviously be chanting about negative stuff. You want to get behind the team. But obviously, as soon as, you know, things don't start going our way, people want someone to blame. And obviously, it's going to get aimed at, you know, the ownership and Pasha.
Yeah, well, hopefully the next home game, it's hopefully we got some points behind us. Otherwise, it could probably fuel that fire, and then maybe I don't know. I don't. Yeah, hopefully Big Val's not going to get a lot of this heat because I don't think he's had a chance, huh?
I think it's going to be interesting tomorrow because I was answering the question there, but obviously in regards to the video, I'm guessing, you know, anyone who's listening to stuff like this will probably have seen the Twitter video I posted. So as part of my vlog, I captured obviously fans singing about Tommy Robinson. Since then, club have put a statement out saying that they're going to be reviewing CCTV footage, and anyone who was seen to be chanting about Tommy Robinson faces potential bans. And obviously, from what I've seen on Twitter in response to that, obviously they banned the comments on that post, but you could quote retweet it. From what I've seen, I'd guess about 75%, in my opinion, of people's opinions are that they're quite pissed off with that stance from the club. Let's put it that way. I think a lot of people obviously saying don't like Tommy Robinson, don't agree even with his views, but you shouldn't be telling me who and what I can chant about on a match day because it comes into the whole free speech debate, and then, you know, people are saying, well, you know, if I start the Maktar Gay chant about him having a big so and so and he tucks it in his sock, this, that, and the other. Suddenly, people are going to be getting banned for chanting that because Maktar might find it offensive, or someone said if I call the ref a blind so and so, am I going to get banned because there might be someone who's blind in the crowd and they find it offensive? It's where you draw the line with this stuff, and I know that's obviously a lot of hypothetical situations, but obviously, you know, on the flip side, you know, there are people who were in the crowd who heard those chants and were offended by it. So, I do question to some extent if it was maybe a far left figure, would Rovers have done this? I don't know, but it's going to be interesting tomorrow to see what the away fans do. Are there going to be Tommy Robinson chanted in the away crowd again as kind of an act of defiance against the club? And then is that going to start blowing up again on Twitter? And then does that then, you know, roll forwards into the Norwich game where people are turning up? And, you know, if people have been banned, like I can just see this going really, really badly if people start getting banned for chanting a name. And they're going to start kicking off down at Ewood. And is that when it starts to get toxic if you're mixing in people getting banned and then the results aren't going our way and things like that? It could be a real slippery slope, this.
Yeah, and it's not great for the club all around, you know, with the I'm sure I know the players are going to try and be professional and try and not let things that get to them, but if that's having a negative feeling to the fan base, then you know, it's just asking more of the players to find a result to just change it at the minute. And again, sorry, 2 games in, I say that, but we got a looming international break coming up, which of course is always, especially when you're not getting results, not the perfect time. You want to get a result, want to get moving, you want to get in the right direction, and just to start to see a number instead of a big fat zero on that points thing. But tomorrow is coming quickly. What's your 11? What's your starting 11? How do you if you had to pick the 11? Who's it going to be?
Tough in net. I'd like to put Albiasu back in if he's. It seems like he seems like he's fine from what I've seen online. I'd have him starting. Hyam and McLaughlin at the back. Ribeiro at left back. Ribeiro's he's steady, isn't he? I mean, I'd prefer a more exciting left back like an Owen Beck who we had last season, but it doesn't seem like that's a priority, and there is obviously bigger priorities right now. I do think it will be Tronstad and Tavares as the holding midfielders, and obviously this new signing isn't going to get chucked in. He's not fit. Right wing, I would go Cogbo and Deneve on the left wing. It'd probably be Ryan Edges, in all honesty. And who was it who started at left wing against Birmingham? It wasn't Deneve, were it?
No, it wasn't Deneve. It was like, I think it was Cargo. Actually, Cargo started, and
yes, he did.
And Hedges was on.
Yeah,
Hedges was on the left. Cargo was on the right, I think.
No. Hedges was on the right. Cogbo was on the left. Yeah.
Well, I thought he was seemed all over the place to me. Like Cogbo felt like he was just running everywhere. But that's just me. I'm blind.
Yeah, I'd have Deneve on the left, Cogbo on the right, Cantwell number 10, and then I'd personally start Maxar up front.
Give him a start. I think it's time. It's mix it up a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, Ohashi hasn't done much for me these last two games. I think he got lost at West Brom, which I've found a lot of times away from home. He can get lost, no fault of his own, really. It's just when we're away, we typically tend to play that long ball a bit more, and we don't really see as much of the ball, obviously. West Brom, we were just constantly getting pumped down the field from goal kicks, and Ohashi's never winning, headers against some of these centre halves. So I'd much rather stick a Maktar up top, and my mind goes back to Burnley away last season. You never know. He just flicks it on, and obviously, it's the second ball, and Vyman obviously did what he did. I'm not saying that's going to be happening every game, but it just frustrates, and you can pick up the second balls and make something happen. If it's just getting pumped downfield every time to Ohashi, and it's just coming straight back at us. So I'd rather give Maktar a run out and see what he can do.
Yeah, I think it's just. I think he needs a goal, just like a lot of these guys, just like Ohashi. But I think definitely Maktar would feed off of that confidence of that one goal, and who knows, then it might start a flurry of goals. But you're confident that we can get something this time?
Not really. I can't say I am, to be honest. With Travis obviously on the way out, I just think. I don't. I think it's. Don't think it goes. It should be understated. Sorry, if I can find my words. I don't think it should be understated how big of an impact that will have on the dressing room. He is the captain. He is a big personality. Obviously, a lot of these fellow players respect him. And it does just feel like a changing of the guard right now. And like I said last week, I think if he was wanting to go and we were thinking he might be the one who needs to go and we need to catch in on, this should have been done before we kicked the ball. I just think this is just rocking the ship now, and it's and it might be showing on the pitch. That might be why we're kind of doing silly things like at the end of Birmingham. You've not got your main man on the pitch, kind of setting up the defence there for a counter attack.
Yeah, they take.
You what? Sorry,
Cantwell had been taken off at this point. He'd also been removed from the game. So it didn't really help in that having that leadership.
Yeah, precisely. And I mean, Cantwell to me is obviously a different kind of captain to a Travis. I think I didn't see Todd doing a lot of kind of the Travis sort of stuff in terms of shouting at people and whatnot, which I do see Trav do. I think Todd's one of those captains where he's captain because technically he's the best player on the pitch for us. So he's kind of leading by example and kind of setting the standard in a way. Whereas Trav's never been the best technically, but he is a leader and he'll always give 110%, won't he? So yeah, it's not great. If I was to make a prediction right now, I'd go with a 1-1 because I do think we need to get a result. And Hull aren't exactly, from what I know about Hull anyway, I don't think they're going to have a great season. So I'm hoping we can go there and at least get something, because if we don't, it's like I said, it's going to become a tinderbox. This definitely with the stuff that's going on off the pitch as well. Which, like I said, if I was to guess, 3/4 of the fans are not happy about the stance the club has took on this. You compare that with your captain leaving, senior pros leaving. We're bringing in foreign players on the cheap. We're not really getting the money reinvested. The results aren't happening. It could get as toxic as it did last season. We're nowhere near that point right now, but if we go into that international break and we've not even got a single point on the board, it's gonna be really bad, and it's just gonna be a lot of doom and gloom again around Blackburn Rovers.
Yes, and that's a great way to take a bow. Thank you, Jacob, for your points and your critique and keeping an eye on the game. You're the man, and maybe if you're not going to the game tomorrow, but I might be able to hook you up if you need to be hooked up in that regard. So
yeah, I can maybe jump on a watch along if you want me to, Dirk. Let me know.
I will. I'll let you know. That was Jacob. He was live. I'm swooping him out of there. Anyone else? I'm going to give you 5 minutes to jump on. If anybody wants to jump on, just use the link on the screen, whether it's that big one or the little one there, or it's in the pinned comment. If there's nobody going to jump on there, I will end it, because it's not my show, it's your show. It's just to talk about what you're feeling. That was Jacob. We kind of talked a lot about everything there. We talked about Travis. We talked about Baraji coming in. We talked about the Hull itself. We talked about the fan base at the moment. What everyone's going through at the moment with recent disgruntled fans chantingness and all that kind of stuff. So it's we're desperate. We're already game 2 or game 3, should we say? We're desperate for a result to kind of change the mood. I think the signing today, yes, he's an injured player, but it's a player with a I think a high ceiling. I think I think once he's ready to go, probably won't be this season, and I'm hopeful that he does enough in the time being this season to showcase enough that we can have him again full time after the loan. But I do think with him in the midfield, you've got to, this is my take on it all. We have played these defensiveness midfield double pivot for a long time now, and it's not got us there. I think the signings of Sydney, the signings of Axel, the signing of Baraji here, they are more of a front-footed kind of midfield. And I'm hoping that we will see the fruits of our labor in the end. Yes, it does look cheap right now, and maybe we are saving XYZ on the old salaries. And I don't anticipate it all falling into place right now. But I do think Baraji has got some. I don't know. I'm not an expert on him, but I'm just showing. There's no smoke without fire. If there were some big clubs sniffing around, Michael's just going to jump in here. I'm going to slide you into the chat here with me, Michael. Baraji coming in, and there's some talent there. I know there is. What do you think, Michael? I appreciate you stopping by once again on the Rovers Rant. It's not my show, it's your show. Give us your thoughts on Rovers week. It's been a week, another one.
Every week it's a crazy week.
So what's your take on Travis leaving and all that kind of stuff?
I think it's actually great news that Travis looks like he's leaving right now, because this has been dragging on for too long already. And I think it's adding to the toxicity of the club right now, where everyone is like, oh, why are we letting him go? He's not speaking in the media. Ismaël is not allowed to answer questions on him. I think we just need to get the new guys in. Has the roses in his hands. He's hugging Valérien Ismaël. We see Rudy in the video with his little loafers on and no socks every time we sign someone.
Yeah,
shaking hands.
they're changing the canteen from bangers and mash to fluff or whatever it is.
Escargot.
That's the one. Yeah, it's all bonjour around the canteen.
Yeah, and it's different. We don't have. I know Travis was upset that the tea lady or someone left, but like that's life. People move on, and other people come in, and that's what it is. But it had to go like this way because it's been a bad week and bad publicity, PR. Because the PR had been really good coming into the season with the trip to Spain. Everyone was looking happy. It was fun. There were Mactor Gay was taking pictures of himself and other people, and it was a good laugh, and it seemed good. And then it quickly just went brutal.
Yeah, well, some people, it's got to come from somebody, whether it was agents or people, instigating stuff. I'm sure, I don't want to be a guy, this guy, but I'm going to be the guy. It could have been Eustace having a little flea in the ear, or say to someone's agent, hey, I could get you a bit more money here at Derby if you want to come over here. It's kind of, and I know people don't want to call him a snake, but it does feel a bit snaky.
I don't know what he's thinking, to be honest. Like, I don't know what he's thinking. Like, the players that he's bringing in, they're not great. Like, let's be honest. We've seen them before. Like, they had a good season. They probably outperformed what they can do last season for us. So it's not like I'd be surprised if they push on this season anywhere above 10th. I'd be surprised. They're putting a lot of investment into it, and I still would be surprised if they were to push on this season. But it is a tough league. I was just putting in the comments there, like the teams that are coming down, they're now selling the players that they have for huge amounts of money on top of the parachute payments that they're getting. So it's like, I think is Ipswich or someone selling Everton a player, or Southampton are selling someone, I think, for like 40 million or something that I've never even heard of, to Everton.
Yep.
And it's just like, it's such a disadvantage. Like, it's a crazy league, really, to think that we can even compete when we've got a salary cap of probably 15, 20 grand, and we're trying to scrounge around buying players for under $1 million, and then we're disappointed when they're not like amazing players. Like, it's such a tough thing to compete with. Like,
yeah, and I see what they're selling Dibley. I think it's Dibley, and for 40 odd million. But they've come down with their salary. I know they got the parachute payments to pay for the bills, and I guess they're still committed to paying a lot of these Premier League guys a lot of money. So they've got to be able to pay the wages. So I guess that's kind of, they're selling Dibley to not only maybe cover the wages, but then also have a little bit of a slush fund to buy their own stuff. So it is difficult.
Yeah, but I think the deal that we signed today, it seems like an amazing deal on the foot of it. I don't know what kind of loan fee they're paying to bring him in, but like, if we're saying that it's a pay as you play deal, and we're bringing him in on loan, and he's potentially, I doubt, is he a free transfer at this end of the season? I doubt it. Surely there's a fee.
Well, I'm having mixed vibes. Some people are saying that he actually signed a 2-year extension at the Swiss club Ewood, and so there might be a fee at the end or not. I don't know. I think there might be a fee involved, but maybe it might not be it might be one of them couple of hundred, like 500 grand kind of deals. So I don't expect it to be that much, but it's still, it's very murky. This one, I don't know. I thought it was a done deal, and now it's a loan, and it's a loan. Is it an option or is it obligation? I'm not too sure. It's just a lot of.
I think it sounds like it's an option to make it permanent, which is a good deal. Although you wouldn't know, because wasn't there that incident this week with Leo Duru going to San Diego, and then people were saying it was only a loan till October, and then they were saying it's a loan till the end of the season with an option to buy. So I think they had to backtrack on it.
Yeah, it's been murky with the old comms on these couple of little deals here.
But it's interesting that there is that silent Twitter account, which is clearly someone on the inside, and I think it's probably an interesting strategy where they're letting somebody release a little bit of truth to a lot of the rumors. Because it's very strange. Like, I mean, this person only follows
one person,
Blackburn Rovers, yeah, and doesn't and has it's just kind of releasing. So maybe it's a tactic from the higher ups where they're like, just feed a little bit of truth into everything and quash any of the kind of bullshit that goes on, because it might keep the fans a little bit off their back. But I appreciate it anyway, because it seems like a long week where we're like, there's nothing happening with Travis and there's no signings coming in. Like, what's going on? I was expecting a bit more action this week, so it's good that it sounds like he's not able to play until after the internationals. Is that right? He's getting a small surgery or something.
Yeah, I think. Well, again, I've not done too much digging into it, but I know it's a 7 or 8 weeker. So it's the next 3 weeks it's going to be none anyway, because I don't think he's going to be ready for the next 2 games. Then the 2-week international break. So maybe what are we looking at? Maybe October start, I think. But again, you got to get a match fit and raring to go and all that. But I was going to say something, but I've lost my train of thought there. But
we do need players though. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, the squad seems light. Like, I don't know if they've kind of decided that T-John is maybe not ready.
Well, I think tomorrow's going to be telling in regards to the team news as well, because Jacob did mention about Harry. Like, he's kind of got a little what's it called, grapevine into the inner workings of Rovers, because he's on one of the fan boards, and I guess they told him about Harry Leonard may have fallen out with Rudy, so if he's not involved, I was thinking Leonard's going to be available to come in maybe on the bench. And again, I don't think he's ready anyway. I think he's had a falling out, what Jacob said, and then Tijuan is definitely needs something. So yeah, I'm with you, and I agree. I think Big Val wants a right winger and a centre back, but I would like to see us going. I'd like to see those permanent additions added, and then couple of loanies would be nice, just to there's some good players out.
We definitely need some squad, especially if we're getting rid like Buckley. I mean, he's not the worst player, but I was surprised he's not even getting a sniff. Because we just need a bit of squad depth. Like, it's all well and good saying, oh yeah, we've got these 3 guys for these 2 positions, but like one of those gets injured and then you're shy on, you don't have any backup.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'm worried about this start. We need an easy game, and tomorrow's not going to be easy.
No. I looked at Hull's form. They drew against Coventry. I think at Coventry, and they won.
And they brought in the guy up front. What's his name? He was with Sheffield United.
Bernie, yeah.
He's a great championship striker. Like, we would only love. He would be ideal if we could have got him. Don't know why we didn't even look for him, but
too much cash. Cash. He wants
too much cash. Like, that's the thing. Like, so we can't even compete with Hull.
And that's Hull are doing. They're doing things, I think, shadily in a way. I don't know, no evidence to this, but it's just they've got a transfer ban themselves. They're putting all their money into wages, so they're getting all these frees or whatever, and they're paying over the odds, I'd say, to get them to navigate the transfer embargo that they're under. And if it all works out nicely, then hurrah! But if it all goes wrong, then it's going to be bad. So I know Rovers are cutting corners and going cheap, but if it works, brilliant. If it doesn't, then we're up the creek without a paddle.
We're goosed.
Yes.
But yeah, we need some goals tomorrow. I think we need our strikers to get a goal. Yuki start was pre-season was looking good, but the longer it goes on, it's just kind of like, come on, we need a couple of goals. Like, if we can get 2 goals, that would be great, even if it was just a 2-2 draw or 3-2 defeat. But we definitely need goals.
It would be nice. It would give us a right old boost. I found my point. It would be a good boost if we can get the win. But this week, yeah, I know you were saying about that Twitter account having the one thing, and there was no news. And that's, I think, this week hopefully has been, if they'd suspect, because somebody said Travis was suspended, or a senior player had been suspended. So I'm assuming it was Travis has been suspended. So maybe, hopefully, they've had this whole week, no midweek game this week, to fully focus on the game plan moving forward, to consider Travis gone, and then maybe, this is it now, guys. This is the squad. We've got Captain Cantwell here. Hopefully we've managed to have that solid week of the squad together, and hopefully they've managed to put all the nonsense behind them. And hopefully we'll see them tomorrow.
Just as long as it doesn't kind of now turn to Tronstad and Hyam and their contracts, that's what you'd be worried about for the last week of the transfer window. It's just like, okay, are these guys now?
I think we might have to worry about Hyam a little bit, but I think we're kind of just going to wipe our face with a little bit with the Tronstad. I think we're just going to see him out. He's not that young of a player. We came on a free. He'll go on a free. And it'll be a big loss. He's of course, I was quite surprised he wasn't captain myself, but maybe he can be vice captain and call the shots. And
I think Valérien was listening to this last week, and he was listening to me talking about Cantwell becoming captain, and
I know
probably said, "Jesus, why didn't I think of that first?"
I was stunned myself. But, it was a good call. He stepped up, he delivered. Unfortunately, we couldn't hold on for anything in the end.
What's a good goal, though?
Yeah, what's this? Proper Jacob saying, both your guys' thoughts on the club's stance on the fans' chant, potentially banning fans. You want to answer that, Michael?
I mean, to be honest with you, didn't see the video.
It's a hot topic. Sorry again?
I didn't see the video, but.
Well, you don't have to. You don't necessarily need to see the video. I've seen it. Well, I didn't listen to it in depth. I've seen it, but I'm trying. I don't want to get my nose in all that kind of mess. It's a hot.
It's difficult, but at the same time, like, the club is trying to promote like all the different cultures and people that attend. So you have to. It's like the world is. I know there's either the really right wing people now at the moment, and then there's the real left wing. But it's difficult for football clubs. Like, they have to be seen to do the right thing. If you don't kind of call out these things, then chance could turn into whatever. Like, where do you draw the line? Where do you say? This one isn't, as Jacob said, it is difficult. But I don't know. Banning supporters is probably not the way to go.
Yeah, but I think I also I was aware of the response by Rovers, and then there was talk about what people, I don't know if it was Rovers or if it was some other EFL thing about what people are saying on social media and stuff like that. That's getting monitored and all that kind of mess, and it's just, it's just a.
But that's the world we live in now too. Like, that's there. People are getting arrested for putting stuff on Twitter. So it's a kind of a different world. Like, it is difficult. I think it was bad timing, in the sense that people were already riled up that Ismaël was not allowed answer questions, or there was going to be no questions from the media about Travis at the press conference. So they're like, people were kind of already starting to get annoyed that they're not allowed to ask questions, or they're not allowed to make speech, and then they're being told, we're not allowed to sing. So it was just kind of unfortunate timing, I think, that came up this week.
Yeah.
Well.
Hopefully, it'll be a repeat of last year. And what happened last year? Scott McLaughlin scored a fantastic own goal to give Blackburn Rovers all 3 points tomorrow. So that's.
And we don't want him scoring an own goal.
No, we don't. We want him to score in the other net against Hull to kind of, luck of the Irish tomorrow. That's what we want, right?
Yeah. I think he's going to score an own goal tomorrow.
It would be the perfect way to end the week. But Michael, thanks again. I appreciate you jumping on. I'm going to wrap it there. We've done an hour, guys. We've done an hour. No hurricane. Well, there is a hurricane in the air, but appreciate you, Michael. I'm going to try and navigate this stupid thing here. And hopefully I'll catch everybody next week for the Rovers rant. It works. It bloody works. Hopefully we can get a big fat W tomorrow, and then end this shitty old week with not only a new signing, but the loss of our captain, but big fat 3 points. points. That's right. You guys, Michael has the calm voice. It's just one of those to end the night. You know what I mean? You just get your Michael's quiet tones, his Irish, Irishness about him, and then they're just kind of chill. Whereas my voice is like, fucking shut up, Doc. It's like, ball fingers down the old chalkboard. So whoever's fallen asleep to Michael's calm, docile tones, I've woken you back up again. Anyway, tomorrow I'll be live, of course, for the watch along, early doors here in the US of A. So I'll be up there with my toothpicks in my eyes. Take it easy. We are Rovers. Win, lose or draw, but hopefully we get a bloody win.